Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Pour and Explore, a wine, food, and travel podcast. I'm your host, Nick Elliott, the wine guy. I'd love to be your go-to guide for all things wine, food, and the amazing places they take us. Here on Pour and Explore, we'll sip, savor, and wander through the exciting world of wine, discuss incredible cuisines, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, I'll bring you lively conversations with wine experts, chefs, travel pros, and fellow enthusiasts. We'll share practical tips, hilarious tales, and plenty of inspiration to fuel your next adventure. So grab a glass, pull up a chair, and join me as we pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pour and Explore. This is a wine, a food, and a travel podcast, and I'm your host, Nick Elliott. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that blends two of my favorite things, food and passion. You all know that I believe in food and wine are more than just sustenance. You've heard me talk about it many times. They're experience, they're connections, and dare I say, they're just a little bit they're a lot of bit sexy. Now, today's guest is someone who is absolutely embodying that philosophy. She's a chef, she's an entrepreneur, she's a digital marketing pro, and someone who has taken her passion for food and transformed it into a full-blown brand. She's bringing sensuality, storytelling, and emotion back into cooking, and I'm so here for it. Before I introduce her, let's talk about the power of food for a second. And I want you to think about the last truly memorable meal that you had. And ask yourself, was it the flavors? Was it the textures? Was it the way it was plated? Or was it who you were with? Was it the conversation? Was it the music that was playing in the background? Food has this incredible ability to bring people together, to stir up your emotions, and to create lasting memories. And that's why I'm excited to have today's conversation, because my guest isn't just about cooking, she's about creating an entire experience through food. So who is she? I want to introduce you to Gwen here in just a few minutes, also known as the Sexy Chef. Gwen has done it all. She grew up surrounded by food and in the food business and in business in general. She's worked in restaurants. She trained in culinary school. She's run a successful marketing business, and now she is launching her own food brand that blends indulgence, it blends that passion, and most importantly to me, the education to go along with it. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to make their meals just a little bit sexier? We first met on the Marketer's Cruise. You heard me talk about the Marketer's Cruise in some previous episodes. Happened back in January. I was on the Carnival Cruise Line down in the Caribbean, and we had so much fun. And let me tell you, when Gwen started talking about her approach to food, I knew that I had to have her on the show. So today we're going to talk about how she's redefining the way we think about cooking, what makes a dish truly sexy, and how anyone, yes, even you, can bring a little more excitement into their kitchen. So grab a glass of your favorite wine, settle in, and let's get into it. All right, Gwen, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Talk a little bit about what you're doing. Give us a 30,000 foot view of you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow, I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 5. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I loved it. Buying and selling stuff and learning on the job. My mom was an immigrant from Germany. She just learned everything on the fly and worked from home. And I decided that watching her to be able to figure out things and work from home, open up multiple fabric stores. I learned fashion from that. And also her love of cooking and vegetables. And I watched her do that. And I went into the Marines. She calls me up about a month before I was going to re-enlist. She says, I'm opening up a restaurant. You want to help? I was like, ooh, that's a challenge. I never did that before. I learned my crafts by taking it seriously, starting from the ground up, doing dishes, learning from the chef. Get this, get that, hot roast, potato, put tomato, and decided that I wanted to go to culinary school. I did that at the same time as working in the restaurant business for 60 some odd hours a week and doing full time in school. it's just the way my brain works. I don't want to just do it. I want to learn why things work. And so that this way you have a broader base to be able to be creative from. And after that point, I moved into New York City, which I was there for 35 years, 34 years, and got away from cooking a little bit and went into the digital marketing space. The internet was all the rage and did very well doing that in my own business. The last few years, retired and retired for 4 or 5 years now, and percolating with the sexy chef idea that I've had for a while. And where I live over here in Florida, I started doing cooking classes because in the community where I live, they came up with a new community center, which had a culinary studio, which was like Top Chef with television screens and vents and stoves. And it was great. Oh, it's so great. I love it. And with benches and tables for them to watch you cook. And they would have television monitors over the top and watch you do everything. It's great. I did that for over a year. Every month I would do a class and I would cover a different cuisine, Italian, Thai, Mediterranean, Spanish, you name it. Every month I would do a different one. And not that I knew how to cook every single cuisine, that would be silly. Do a different cuisine because it forced me to learn that cuisine. And not only I had to cook it, but I had to talk about it, where the foods come from. And as I said, I like a deep dive into it. And why do they use certain foods in the northern Italy and southern Italy and different Thailand, and why do they use certain foods, different areas, indigenous to that area, and about spices. It was so wonderfully exciting and so on. And the concept of that was to really try something you never tried before. And so it's called Foods of the World. And from that, I started to get the burning desire to love cooking again. And so I started thinking about Sexy Chef and how I could put that together in doing a social media channel. And so I branded the name Sexy Chef, and I'm logos and aprons with Sexy Chef on it, and have come up with spices and things like that. I haven't gone through the production cycle of that yet, but I want to wait until I have more of a clientele. But that's all coming down the road, and private chef stuff and catering and things. So I have big plans for the brand to come out and to be able to do that. And I'll be launching that fairly soon on all the major social media channels. I want to thank you for allowing me to talk about what I want to do and how I want to do it. Hopefully people will like the Sexy Chef brand, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, what that really means.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, let me start by saying thank you for your service. On behalf of my audience, we definitely appreciate it. And when you and I first met, we were on the marketers cruise down in the Caribbean back in January. I actually did a live podcast episode from there. For those of you who remember my episode from the Carnival Vista, I met Gwen there, and fascinating stuff, and definitely wanted to have her on the show. So I'm so glad that you're here. So the new venture, Sexy Chef, you're taking cooking beyond just making a meal. From our conversations, you're talking about passion, you're talking about indulgence, you're talking about sensuality. What inspired you to create this particular concept and take it to the next level?
If you look at marketing and any kind of business that you've done marketing, one of the things that you have to come up with is what's your hook? What makes me different? Why would they stop and watch my channel versus something else? The idea of Sexy Chef was really born from my desire to highlight not only cooking, but emotional and sensory, all this journey through cooking, right? So because there's so many different acids and levels to cooking and what it is and how it works and everything. So I wanted to create a brand that encourages people to immerse themselves into the cooking experience, to love cooking again, to transform themselves, an act of love. And many people, the food is love. So you can actually do that and be creative and have connections with other people. If you do, we'll talk about that possibly later, and have a passion to infuse yourself into the food when you start being creative with it, and to really enjoy every step of the way. So I wanted to pull all this together with Sexy Chef. It's more than just the sexy part of it, but the food is sexy. The relationship with whoever you're with, your partner, can be sexy and bring love together. And the love and the art of cooking itself is much more than just preparing food and eat.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever saw the movie called The Menu.
Yes.
With Ralph Fiennes. And he said, don't eat, enjoy, savor. I'm just paraphrasing his words, but savor taste the complexities of the food. And that's what I want people to enjoy. Not only that part, enjoying it, but enjoy the complexities of the food and the process that you go through to make that. It could be a whole holistic experience.
Yeah, 100%. As a chef myself and a sommelier, I use the word sexy a lot when I talk about wine. So I love the fact that you're bringing that all together. And sexy doesn't necessarily have to mean sexy. It's the feeling that you get, that warm and fuzzy, and dare I say that attraction to a dish or a glass of wine and so on. So I absolutely appreciate that. Talking about that, how would you define a sexy dish? Is it the ingredients? Is it the love you're putting into it? Is it the presentation? We eat with our eyes first, as our instructors told us in culinary school, or is it more of an emotional?
A quote unquote sexy dish is really a harmonious blend of all those different things, all the different elements. You bring them all together. So it's not any one specific thing because each person has their own but it can begin with choosing ingredients that kind of evoke an indulgence or an allure to the food or to the person or to the environment or to the end dish presentation. Then cooking them, but presenting them in a way that captivates your eyes, your senses, your taste buds, texture. Presentation is a big thing for me, and allowing color and all these different things to work together. So doing all of that and cooking with love and creativity and this intentional specificity to be able to make something overall that's going to turn you on is paramount in cooking a sexy dish. But you have to know what turns the other person on or yourself. What do you call sexy? Because my sexy is different than yours or somebody else's. And that certainly goes into the whole process of, and I'll probably cover this later on, is that it goes into the whole process of what are you cooking for?
Yeah, for people, for yourself, for a group, 100%. You talked about your experience coming up in the restaurant industry with your mom. I think is awesome. So many of us in the industry have that experience where it was either a family member or a friend who brought us in and helped us fall in love with the industry. Talking about that passion for a dish, is there a dish that you can think of that made you fall in love with food?
Oh, wow. My mom taught me to love vegetables, but going back on falling in love with food, wow. She taught me to really dive into the preparation of the vegetables. My next door neighbor where I live is vegan. Now, I'm not vegan, but I love to eat vegetables. So if I see a vegetable dish, a beautiful roasted cauliflower with miso on it or something like that, I'll order that over the steak. And a well-prepared vegetable dish is perfectly satisfying for me. So any kind of a vegetable dish like that, Brussels sprouts and roasted spinach with coconut milk or something with fish sauce in it, or just something is creative and not just slapped together, that I'll just love it. I'll devour that whole dish like that. It's very satisfying for me personally.
Fantastic, fantastic. We see a lot on social media, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, all of that stuff. We see a lot of people cooking on the internet, and in a lot of ways, they're being very innovative. And again, dare I say, sexy. You described when we were first talking, and a little bit now, you described cooking as an experience for all of your senses. For our audience, people who might be aspiring cooks and want to aspire to be in your position, what do you suggest they can do to bring more sensuality or sexuality into their cooking?
The first thing is really to not just slap things together, is to really stop and think about what you're putting together. The first thing is always the freshest, vibrant ingredient that you can get. You want to get away from the prepared foods, the nutrition stinks and those types of things as we're all learning to be, it's terrible. But fresh foods, and I even go a step before that, is the shopping experience. Go to a fresh market, pick the different things, smell it, talk to the person that worked there every single day. What's your best stuff here today? And pick things that'll start the whole process of touch, feel, taste, and try something new that you haven't tried before. Of course, you want to have, sometimes you just want to eat something that just gets you going, right? You always have that one go-to or two go-tos or maybe three. But every once in a while, you want to start with something different, use fresh ingredients and that are going to excite you to sight, touch, and smell them, because smell is part of the whole sensory experience. Like I love rosemary. So I bought a rosemary tree because it's so fun. I brought a rosemary tree and I'm like, I want to smell, I smell a little bit, but Then I went up and also I shook the tree. Like, you got to go and you got to shake up the herbs and maybe use a mortar and pesto to get them going, the fresh
Yeah.
herbs. And that just releases all their lusciousness. And it's wonderful to be able to do that. So finally, taste your creations, relish all the flavors and all the techniques and all the texture that you have, and put those all together, and you'll have a whole experience with your food. So it starts from buying the foods through the whole process of cooking what you want to cook with fresh, vibrant ingredients, the fresh herbs, and whether you're doing fish or meats or anything like that, you'll be able to have a whole holistic approach with all these different aspects coming to fruition at once. Then you plate it and it's
100%. What you're describing in my mind, I'm picturing a very European experience, a very French experience or an Italian experience where folks are coming off of work and they're going to the local market and they're picking up their food for the night and bringing it home, cooking it and having dinner at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whenever crazy hour they're having dinner over there. Those are the experiences that I have when I'm in Europe. You're taking me back to all of the wonderful experiences I've had.
When I went to Italy, I was in Florence and Milan and Venice. So like, I thought you would get me started on Venice. But they look at eating as a whole different thing. It's a communal thing. It's communication. They just don't eat, shove it down their throat, they're done. It's getting there, talking to family, talking with other people. And dinner might last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Over here, it's done, 15 minutes, done. It's a whole experience, and that whole communication with other people is all part of the experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. And I would love to see that come back to our culture here in the States as well. 100%. You mentioned being in the marketing business before you moved into chefing. Is there anything that adds to it? When I think about food, I listen to music and the lighting and the atmosphere and all of that. Is that going to play a role into the Sexy Chef brand?
That type of thing, music, lighting, foreplay. When I'm like, okay, here comes, I'm getting inspiration. I've gone and done my shopping. I love old music, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. Put that on. I'll have a glass of wine. I love Pinot Grigio, Pinot Noir. I love them. And I'll be sipping wine and cooking and thinking, I'm just having a great old time and trying this and trying that. This works, that does it. And just enjoying the whole sensory experience and the music. And if you want to subdue the lighting, the whole atmosphere is going to add to the whole experience. Whether you want a soft ambient lighting for intimacy, if you're maybe cooking with your partner, a spouse, of course, or something like that, you can do things together that add to the mood. And also the music, it does another thing too. It sets the pace of what you're cooking. So if you have something that's soft and romantic, take your time with it. If you're putting on something with more of a beat, you like getting into it, you like tenderize that meat, the lighting and so on. So you have to pick that accordingly to what you're looking to accomplish. And if you're doing buffalo wings, you're not going to put on these Frank Sinatra. It's the other, use your common sense with that. But as you're starting to enjoy all of that, the flavoring and everything all start to come together.
Most definitely. Dinner time in my household is typically an event. We cook and we talk and we laugh, listen, and we sit down and eat. Absolutely wonderful. And that's why I wanted to talk with you. And I talk to a lot of chefs on this show, people who love to travel, of course, people who love to drink wine. I want to help people up level their creative experience at home and learning things. So on that, if one of our listeners wants to elevate their cooking game, make things more enticing, what do you think the very first thing they should focus on?
What you want to do is you want to start, and I mentioned this before, is to start with the quality of the ingredients themselves. Fresh ingredients whenever possible. If you can't get it, of course, you use the dried herbs, but if you can ever get fresh ones, great. So freshness of ingredients, just focus on that and start to learn basic techniques in cooking. Lessons online, YouTube and things like that. They'll teach you that type of thing. Basic sauteing techniques and knife skills and mastering these simple techniques. And then you start to master a little bit more about this flavor goes with this and this flavor will go with that. And that comes through repetitiveness, right? And don't be afraid to try anything. I'm at the point where if I don't know something, I'll look at a recipe, got it. Because there's sometimes, I don't know every recipe, but there's a certain ingredient that's going to brand tandoori chicken to be something, and I don't want to miss that. And then I want to follow the recipe exactly. I'll do that. If I say, okay, I got it. Let me try this little thing. Let me try that little thing. I've been on a lime kick lately, and sometimes lime doesn't go good with something, but many times it does. So that's just me. So you'll be able to get to a point where your skills you'll be able to notice flavors and what will complement things. And that just comes from a foundation in cooking skills and using fresh ingredients.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And to expound upon that, your point of having YouTube, obviously there are a million and one cookbooks out there on the market from professional chefs all the way down to amateur chefs. And these are great ways to learn these foundational things that Gwen's talking about. Knife skills, learning how to use your knife correctly, whether it's the beautiful Japanese type knife that you're showing there, a standard French knife or a santoku, or learn your knife skills. Keeping certain things in your pantry. My very first episode of this podcast was talking about, what to have in your pantry, because to a home chef, just like to a professional chef, having a well-stocked pantry is going to be vital to your final results. So these are all things that are very helpful to home chefs, amateur
I think
chefs.
it's worth when you're going to make something and you can look and you can't find one ingredient. Where is it?
Absolutely. And that's why it's important to make a list and go to the grocery store or to your farmer's market. Yes, 100%, 100%. All right. Last question on kind of the culinary side. Tell me about your favorite sexy food.
You're talking my language now. Two foods that I really love. I love Italian food, of course, but one is Mediterranean cuisine. I think it's so healthy for you. It emphasizes fresh herbs and ingredients and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. I love that type of thing. But my number one food that I love the most, that I think is so sexy because it just brings out so many different elements, is Thai food. Sweet, salty, sour, spicy. So you can go in so many different directions with Thai food. That is by far my ultimate food to be able to do different things with, and to be creative with a curry, a nice sticky rice with mango and coconut milk. It lights up your taste buds. But the Mediterranean and Thai food are my two favorites.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mediterranean cuisine, especially the fresh seafood coming out and how they incorporate flavors from the land and the sea all together. Just absolutely wonderful. And you're 100% right about Thai food. The variety of flavors and the uniqueness of flavors in Thai cuisine. Talk about lime. Lime is a huge part of Thai cooking. Coconut milk, curries, of course. And if you have not tried Thai cuisine in the past, which it's not always available in every place, a lot of your bigger markets are going to have a Thai restaurant or two or three or 10 like here in San Diego.
But really the two things that Mediterranean Thai have is the preparation takes up most of the time because it's the fresh ingredients, and then the cooking is quick.
Yes.
In many, not every case, but many cases. Don't get me started on Thai street food. Salad or pad Thai or something in Thai street food is like, whoa, the best in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on another time and we'll talk about more of that travel stuff and your experiences at the Thai street vendors. Let's change directions a little bit. So the sexy chef and the spices are a new thing that's happening for you, but in your past, you've got a wonderful past as an author and an entrepreneur. You've written books with Richard Branson and Brian Tracy. Tell us a little bit about that. Well, tell us what the books are first, and then tell us about that experience.
The gentleman that you mentioned, Brian Tracy, if you're not familiar with who that is, a super peak performance guru. He's like one of the top people in the world that shows you how to get unstuck, how to be able to bring the best out of yourself. And I love that because I talked about that for decades. And Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, is phenomenally. The thing I love about Sir Richard Branson is one of the quotes that he had one time is someone asked him, do you think you have more opportunity than anybody else? He says, no, I have just as much as anybody else. I act on them. And I might have 8 or 9 out of 10 that fail, but one of them makes me a lot of money. But I heard him speak on that. It was incredible. Collaboratively doing works with them as well as other speakers and other people was just such a great experience for me. During those writing times, one of my favorite topics was how to overcome fear, how to overcome what stops you. And I call it domestication of the fear. So if you're able to look at fear as just another thing, and fear is not real, it's called false evidence appearing real, fear, F-E-A-R. Just like a dog, you domesticate the habits or the original programming of the dog, and you make them able to act the way you want them to, right? The same thing you do with fear, understanding fear, the way it works, and the way it works on your psyche and so on. And you're able to domesticate that fear through various techniques, which I don't have time to get into today. But you'll be able to do that and be able to speak on stage and go and do karaoke and go and cook up a storm and do things that you never thought possible because you have the resources already inside of you. You just don't realize it. So
Amazing.
it's already there. You just have to go in and be able to find it, to bring it out and what I call unfold it, because you've been endowed with these different skill sets and you just have to be able to find it in there somehow. And a coach will do that, or whoever you find to be able to help you pull that out. So those brilliant people, as well as many others, help me to hone a lot of different things that I want in my path as an entrepreneur. And I call a chefpreneur, and many other people like that, and different skills that I've been able to acquire over 60 some odd years.
Fantastic. And you're obviously an amazing storyteller. You really paint a beautiful picture about all of the things that you're talking about. I know you've been featured on a lot of the major networks, CBS, Fox. When you're talking about storytelling, what would you suggest, again, painting that picture for someone who wants to be a chef or just any entrepreneur? What in storytelling, what is the most important thing to put out there to your audience?
You have to find your uniqueness, right? And you have to find what makes you special. And many times people don't do anything because they think they don't have anything special. You couldn't be any wrong than that, because you don't have to be the super best at something. You just have to be better than most. I guarantee you're better than probably 60% of the people out there. And that's all you need. And find your uniqueness. What makes you special? What you light up about when you talk about something? And from that, you start to hone in your story. What's your story? What makes you different? And when I talked about earlier with Sexy Chef is, if you're looking to market something online or virtually via some of the YouTube channels or whatever, is to find something what'll give you traction and what makes people stop when they're flipping on their phone. And you have literally 5, 6, 7 seconds to stop someone. What makes you different is going to say, oh, that's different. It's what makes you different, not necessarily better than somebody else. Good is good, better is better, but different is best, right? My concept of Sexy Chef was, wow, people doing recipes. Wow, there's sexy women on there. How many followers you got? What if I combine them both? And then they find, once they do that, they find you really do have substance. You really are passionate about it. Why you really do love what you do. Maybe there's something more for me there, and they start watching more and more, and you pull them into your concept through the storytelling that you're doing and stories that you've had in your life and different things like that. So how do you distinguish yourself from the crowd? Figure that out. You might not be finding that in an hour. It might take you a while to do that. And then you're off and running and your journey begins.
Fantastic. Yeah. The next question is a very cliche question when it comes to interviews, but I think when I ask this question, it really talks to someone's soul when they answer it. If you were to be able to cook for anyone in history, dead or alive.
Wow, that's such a great question. Dead or alive? Oh my goodness. You got to go to the man. I would say Jesus Christ. To be able to bring flavors and things together from the source, if you're religious like that, would be epic. To be able to sit down and have a dinner, a conversation, and learn, and to be able to take the growths from the earth and to be able to have them eat that with you and to talk would be wonderful.
That's an awesome answer. Thank you very much for sharing that. I love watching people cook on social media. I love cooking at home myself and so on. And I love learning new things. If you were to introduce a food hack or a kitchen hack that you've learned over the years, what would it be?
One thing is that don't be afraid to mess up. There's a guy that does recipes and he says, don't F it up. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Don't F it up.
Yeah.
That's his line. Don't F it up. But really serious, don't mess it up. Don't worry about messing it up. Just go and just have fun. And that's my hack is have fun. Don't worry about making mistakes. Play with it. If you make a mistake, throw it out and do something else. You have to be able to use your intuition and to not worry about making a mistake and go and just play with the food. To be able to experiment. And when you do that, you start saying, oh, this works, this doesn't. And you start having fun with the foods. That's my hack really, is to just have fun with it. Don't worry about making mistakes. And the techniques and stuff will come as you start to be able to learn and practice and so on. But just have fun with it and don't worry about making mistakes. You'll learn it and you'll love it.
I love the idea of using intuition and using intuition as a tool in life, in kitchen, in love, all of that stuff. We all have that inherent intuition in us as a human being. And whether that's you call it a spidey sense or a gut feeling or however you refer to your intuition, an awesome thing to say, and I really appreciate that. It's fantastic. I'm really excited about the launch of what you're doing. I definitely want to get in there and watch what you're doing and see it progress, evolve, and all of that stuff. If my audience wants to get a hold of you, if they want to find you, where are they going to do that?
The channel's already set up on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. But the easiest way to be able to do that is to use your phone and text the word foodie, FOODIE, to 26786. And you'll get on my VIP list. I'm not going to spam you all the time and stuff. It's just updates for when I launch, when I come out with new recipes or something I really think you should know. And you'll get a text back from me with a picture and what I'm doing. And as you get introduced to the Sexy Chef brand, and once I'm ready to start posting, you'll get a text and say, hey, we're ready to go to this site. Follow me here, follow me there. And it's the best one-stop shop to be able to know what I'm doing. Foodie to 26786, and you'll be good to go.
Fantastic, fantastic. And for the audience, you'll find that information in the show notes. So when you're listening, in the show notes, if you're watching on YouTube as well, and I will make sure that I mention it again before the show is over. Chef, cheers to you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been a fantastic experience. We all look forward to getting the text from you that things are live and up and running. And we're very excited. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was something that helped you out quite a bit. And I look forward to seeing you on one of the videos.
Wow, what a fantastic conversation. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling completely inspired to step into my own kitchen and start cooking with a whole new mindset. Gwen, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, and your passion with us today. I really appreciate it. I love how you described cooking as an experience, not just a task. It's about being intentional, about engaging all of your senses, and of course, having fun with it, whether it's the way you plate a dish, the ingredients you choose, the atmosphere you create. Cooking, dare I say, is a love language, and I think we could all stand to make food, make wine, make the whole experience a little more indulgent, a little more exciting, and of course, a little more sexy. For those of you listening, we want to keep up with Gwen. I highly recommend you do that. She's got a whole lot of stuff in the works. So make sure that you are including the launch of the Sexy Chef in your to-do list. And the way you're going to do that today is you're going to text the word foodie, FOODIE, the number 26786. And that's going to get you on her VIP list, and you're going to get text updates with all the cool stuff that she is doing. And she's going to keep you posted on upcoming recipes, social media updates, and all things Sexy Chef. So thanks for listening. And of course, I want to make sure that I link everything in the show notes. So you're going to find those just below either this video or in the show notes if you're listening on one of the audio podcasts. And definitely you're going to be able to find her on TikTok, Instagram, and that's where you're going to find me as well. So make sure you're looking out, subscribing, and enjoying more of the Pour and Explore conversation. So if you like this episode and you want to keep listening, please go find me on your favorite platform. I do sneak peeks every week on LinkedIn, on Instagram Reels. I do sneak peeks every week on TikTok as well. So keep your eyes open for those. So look out for The Real Wine Guy, and you're going to find those links in the show notes as well. Gwen, again, thank you so much for being here. It was awesome to have you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next year on the Marketer's Cruise. And until then, everyone, keep wondering and wandering. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, and your questions, so you can drop me a line at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links on my website at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everyone.